Hello everyone, Rory is here. Back right where we left off from yesterday, and getting straight into the developer commentary. Alrighty, so where were we? I've always enjoyed these little like random panels like not quite working the way they're supposed to. All the like panels all moving out of place and being replaced by new ones. The test chambers setting themselves up. I don't think GLaDOS says anything to start with. She leaves because she's left you alone for the time being, I think.
Wheatley was originally envisioned as a group of spheres that you discover as you explore the facility behind the scenes. We ditched this idea for two reasons. For one thing, behind the scenes levels were required to highlight the introductions of these new spheres, and these levels have their own unique logic. The number of spheres we wanted would have made for far too many of these types of levels, resulting in a very unportal-like game. Also, we were spending so much time introducing these new characters, so we had no time to get to know any of them before they were swept off stage for the next one. Eventually we realized it would be a lot more satisfying to really get to know one sphere instead of briefly meeting 6. Some of these characters were eventually recycled as corrupt cores for the finale.
Yeah, exactly what I said earlier in the previous part. So yeah, originally there was a whole bunch, like there was the knowledge sphere, or whatever I forget what it's called, or the wisdom sphere, the purple sphere that tells you essentially fake facts, like false information. That had its own like section. I remember them talking about it in something where I think it was the Portal of the Final Hours. It's a good Portal 2 The Final Hours. The like you can buy it on Steam, but it's more like an article. It's like a long article news thing. They talk about a lot of the development stuff, and one of those things was about the area that the knowledge core was going to be in. Originally it was going to be a core that had been trapped or locked or hidden away, or it hid itself away in a small room somewhere in the back of Aperture Science, and it knew everything about that one room. It was going to be incredibly knowledgeable and knew it, but you know, it's been a long time, like the 200 or so years that you've been in stasis. It spent most of that in solitary confinement, essentially. So it knew everything about that room, but it knew nothing of outside of that room. As far as I recall, that is what the deal was. It was, you know, it was scared, basically. It was basically agoraphobic, and that it was afraid to be outside of the chamber. As far as I recall, that's how it worked. I'm hoping I'm not confusing that with the space core and wanting to leave the chamber. I don't think I am, but as far as I remember, I'm sure Editing Rory will write it, I always forget which side, down here, to confirm whether that's that's true or I've just been spouting my mouth off. Anyway, yeah, let's just get on with this. This is a humorous scene with Wheatley, of course, naturally.
Hey, it's me! I'm okay!
Well, I'm back. The aerial faith plate in here is sending a distress signal. You broke it, didn't you?
Oh dear.
There. Try it now.
She like fixes it and then...
Really what happened, right? I was just lying there. You thought I was done.
This plate must not be calibrated to someone of your generousness. I'll add a few zeros to the maximum weight. You look great, by the way. Very healthy. Try it now.
Oh dear. Silly.
Hey, bird, right? Couldn't believe it either. And then
You seem to have defeated its load-bearing capacity. Well done. I'll just lower the ceiling.
I think that's genius. She just lowers the ceiling of the chamber. Oh dear. I think it's funny. Yeah, and that time, Wheatley, you don't get to see from Wheatley. Alrighty, where was I? It's enough distraction. Ah, I placed the wrong one. What I usually do in this chamber is I leave that one up there. Wait, is that the only node in this chamber?
Wheatley was
It is, okay. So I'll just finish the rest of the chamber and not worry about it. You just go like this. Yeah. Oh, whoops. I knew there was something I was missing. god. The only problem with the angled floors. Angled panels. That's all good. I got my box. That's all I wanted. Line it up nicely. And this, of course, has another great line from GLaDOS. Even though it's one of the fat jokes I talked about earlier that I was saying that I, you know, would prefer if it was less prevalent. But it's a good line nonetheless. I still enjoy it.
Look at you, sailing through the air majestically, like an eagle, piloting a blimp.
Oh dear. Yeah. So yeah, nice little chamber. Unfortunately, a lot of these levels only have the one sort of developed commentary node. As I was sort of halfway through saying in the previous part that I ended up having to fill in with text down here. I've got to learn that it's down here.
Enjoy this next test. I'm going to go to the surface. It's a beautiful day out. Yesterday I saw a deer. If you solve this next test, maybe I'll let you ride an elevator all the way up to the break room. And I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, one of the reasons I imagine that there's only one sort of developer node per room, sometimes, quite often actually, is purely because for such a, you know, for a game so much longer than Portal 1, but still has a similar, if not, it probably has a lot more nodes, but even with like double the amount of nodes that Portal 1 has, you know, Portal 2 is a much larger game. And so, to spread those nodes out across the length of the game, you know, there's gonna be less.
The Faith Plate was originally a robot arm model with...
Let us know.
The Faith Plate was originally a robot arm model which we hurriedly placed into the maps to see if the gameplay was fun. Over time it became apparent that playtesters were struggling to tell the Faith Plate apart from the standard arm, so we replaced it with a new design. It was meant to be a simple, heavy weight which was flung upwards, propelling the player. The length is meant to imply a direction, so the player knows the intended flight path before they step onto it.
Yeah.
We experimented with footmarks and tread plates on the design, but it quickly became confusingly busy, so we kept the design simple.
Yeah, I actually remember that in the original trailers they had for the aerial Faith Plate, they originally were just like any old square floor panel, just like any old panel like this, except I think they had glass over them instead. They had this kind of transparency glass, whatever you want to call it, plastic, whatever. And they propelled you. I gotta go back and watch those. Those are great trailers. I love those trailers. But I can see exactly why they did it, and I actually do approve of the change in design to imply directionality. That's actually really clever. And I like the fact that there are also some that don't. You know, this one doesn't show any apparent direction. And I like it because it's used very well later on. Very out of the blue, but used perfectly, in my opinion. Right, so I think I just place something up there, and I'm just gonna go for it. And whoop, wee, boom. Yeah, I love this little arm playing with the cube. It's something that you don't always fully notice. When you take it, it's like, ah! Puts itself down. It freaks out. Alrighty, I think I'm just gonna do this chamber. That was the only node once again. So I'll just do this chamber as I should. I know there are short ways to do this, but I'm just playing. I'm just enjoying myself. Oop. No. Stop. Okay. So now you go again, I think. Yeah, you just go again. Yeah. Oh. Something happened down there. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on there. But I'll show you the jump pad again later on. We will be using that jump pad again. I think I just go like this. No, I could have done it faster. I love that the music, it emanates from the player in this game, in this particular level. It probably emanates from the player in a lot of levels, but it's very apparent that it emanates from the player in this level. But it also is affected when other objects are going through the jumps. So like the dynamic music picks up when this cube is dropped on the jump pads. I think it's really neat. Alrighty, back down here, and then you just go like this, swap these out. This over here. Oh, and if I was clever, which I'm not, I would have preemptively, unless I left it up there. No, up my blue pole's there. Alrighty, well, let's just see if I can place a portal up there from down here. I cannot. That's alright, I'll just jump on this again. This time I'll show you the direction. See, the clever person, that is not me, would have prepared it so that this would have gone straight away, so I didn't have to do another jump. Yeah. Let's just go. Let's just do it. Whee! You go barrel, barrel, and then you bounce all the way over, and then boom. Freaking love that room. That's one of my absolute favorites as well. It's a great.
Well, you passed the test. I didn't see the deer today. I did see some humans, but with you here, I've got more test subjects than I'll ever need.
You bitch! Oh dear. Yeah, she does that kind of mental torment. How would she go onto the surface? Oh dear. She's a huge machine. The hard light bridges. These are really cool, and we tested, in Pool Unity, in the mod, we tested ways of trying to make this to no real avail. We had some cool ideas, cool concepts, but they were buggy and didn't play.
These bridges are made from natural light that I pump in from the surface. If you rubbed your cheek on one, it would be like standing outside with the sun shining on your face. It would also set your hair on fire, so don't actually do it.
Yeah. Okay, this is... That's right, this just stays on, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, yep. Yeah, why did I... Okay, and then, boop, and then through here. Any nodes? No nodes? Nope. Alright. Keep it as high. I always try and keep it as high up as possible, for whatever reason. No. Oh yay. Cool. I think you just put it over. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's something that I liked about this chamber, is that it's because it's sort of part new, part old here and there. They utilize the new panels to indicate where you're going to put, like, to help sort of just hint towards where you're going to place portals. So they've got a panel there for getting across if you want. They've got a panel there, which I will use now to get across to the button. They've got this clean panel here for to indicate through there. Yeah, I know there are a couple of other clean panel areas that can throw this off, but I just thought I like little things like that. I like little visual hints and sort of aids. It's kind of like the checkerboard patterns in. Ooh. Oh, that's where the music comes from. It comes from the floor itself. Yeah, I think this clear panel is for getting back. I'm assuming that's what they want this button for. And you can either do this and walk all the way across, which is what a lot of people do. I just do that. It's
excellent. You're a predator, and these tests are your prey. Speaking of which, I was researching sharks for an upcoming test. Do you know who else murders people who are only trying to help them? Did you guess sharks? Because that's wrong. The correct answer is nobody. Nobody but you is that pointlessly cruel. Good news. I figured out what to do with all the money I save recycling your one room full of air. When you die, I'm going to laminate your skeleton and pose you in the lobby. That way this generations can learn from you how not to have your unfortunate bone structure.
Yeah, see, this is, like, I think by now everyone knows how much I love both Portal 1 and Portal 2. But I can't get past the idea that in this... Oh, this is a good scene, but some more little arms pulling themselves in. Before we get to the scene and Wheatley and GLaDOS start talking, one of the problems I have with the Portal 2 GLaDOS is the idea that she insults you, and that's part of, you know, it's necessary because that is kind of how she started treating you when you started fleeing from the chambers in Portal 1. But the way she insults you in this game, it comes across incredibly petty. It comes across not like, I don't know, it just doesn't have the same feeling behind the kind of insults and the kind of jibing that she gave you in Portal 1. It feels kind of petty and unnecessary in this game. The fat jokes, the bone structure, the unfortunate bone structure jokes, the being adopted jokes. She insults stuff about you that you can't change, and that's like super depressing. It's more just like depressing than endearing, I guess. The way she insulted your sort of intellect and insulted your methodology in Portal 1 was far more effective, I think. Far funnier as well. The kind of like, you're not even going the right way. Where did you think you're going? And the now you found me. Congratulations. Was it worth it? Because despite your violent behavior. See, I like the jokes where she's like talking about how it's like you're worse than sharks. Like you kill people you know, out of spite. You are so merciless in your killing of people. I prefer those kind of jokes because it seems more relevant to your character and to your actions, because as a player, the only part of the character that you control is their actions in the game. So by insulting those actions and insulting your ability to solve puzzles and that kind of thing, that comes across a lot more effective because it's more like GLaDOS is insulting you as a player. I actually feel like those work better. If she's insulting things about you that may or may not be true, may or may not be true, but if she's insulting things like your shells, body weight, you know, shells, bone structure, whatever, it just doesn't come across, it doesn't reflect quite as well with the player, and so it's like a dissociation between the player and the character that they are playing. It's almost like immersion breaking. It's not quite that far, but yeah, just my 2 cents about it, and what I often think about the humor in Portal 2 versus humor in Portal 1. But let's move on.
Perfect. The door's malfunctioning. I guess somebody's going to have to repair that too. No, don't get up. I'll be right back. Don't touch anything.
Hey, up here. I found some bird eggs up here. Just dropped them into the door mechanism. Shut it right down. Bird!
I love all the bird jokes.
Okay, that's probably the bird in it that laid the eggs. Livid. Okay, look, the point is, we're gonna break out of here, alright? Very soon, I promise. I just have to figure out how to break us out of here. Here she comes. Just keep testing. Remember, you never saw me.
I went and spoke with the door mainframe. Let's just say he won't be, well, living anymore. Anyway, back to testing.
Now, I have a feeling there might be a node in the secret room in this chamber. Alrighty, let's have a look. I'm just gonna straight away. I'm not gonna try and do anything tricky. I'm just gonna go straight down here. Wait, where is the chamber again? I swear there's a secret. There we go. Let's have a look. Yeah, the Ratman signature theme music starts playing. What's that over there? That's pretty cool looking. Oh, that's one of the it's either part of the ball shooters or the lasers. That's like this weird dish thing that's attached to the back end of the ball shooters. Alrighty. What's funny is that they made it that they implied in a lot of ways, a lot of places, that the ball shooters have this huge amount of stuff that goes behind them in order to make the energy balls. But in Portal 1 there are several instances where there's just a ball shooter attached to a flat panel, and it's, you know, like the one in the second to last test chamber where it's like moving moving around in a, you know, circling, and it's shooting in 4 different directions. That one has nothing behind it. Admittedly, you could argue that it's going through the, like, the rod that holds up the thing, but still, it's like, it's a continuity error, if there's ever one. So no node. That's interesting. I would have thought we would have seen a node by now about, you know, perhaps regarding I'm just gonna put that there. Perhaps regarding the light panels, the light paths. Nope. All right, all good. I'm just gonna place that down there because that's where it needs to go. Let's walk. I'm super like paranoid now. I'm like, don't know if there's no node or if I'm missing nodes. I like doing this. I don't know why I like doing this, but I like doing this. And then just going.
Well done. In fact, you did so well, I'm going to note this on your file, in the commendation section. Oh, there's lots of room here.
See, this I like. I like this. Well, enough. See, I like that kind of thing where it's like she gives you a teeny bit of like, oh, she might actually be being nice once, and then she like wrenches it back.
This next test involves turrets. You remember them, right? They're the pale spherical things that are full of bullets.
This animation.
Oh wait, that's you in 5 seconds. Good luck.
Well, I think there's a slightly weak joke. It's also in the category of ones that I prefer because it's making fun of your ability to do the test chambers. I love this little animation. the turret, the frickin' turret ad that they did before Portal. They did like 3 Cave Johnson ads. The one about turrets, just brilliant. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It's so good. It's tempting to upload like a compilation of them, but I feel like it already exists on YouTube. Perhaps I'll link to them in the description. But no, I'll leave. If you haven't seen it, I'll let you go watch it. I think it's called what would it even be called? A Portal 2 turret ad? I don't know. Whatever. Perhaps I will put a link in the description because I've talked about it enough now.
Project Lil is our code name for an internal push to make our comments more accessible to the whole Valve community. It was pointed out to us in mail from a fan that in some of our previous commentary, the designers referred unfailingly to the gamer as a he. Although in natural speech, most of us normally tend to say they and their, rather than he and his, some stuffy, overactive minion of the grammar police went through and revised all those usages to make them conform to an oppressive gender-biased rule. However, research shows that they and their is a perfectly acceptable and even older form, and we're happy to fall back on it and let people talk the way they normally talk, and screw the so-called rules that alienate our fans. Thanks, Lil.
Huh. That's interesting. I don't remember that node. That's really interesting because, yeah, that's a thing that I'm somewhat of a grammar Nazi when it comes not to speech but to formal writing and practiced. I guess practiced speech would fit that category as well. I ramble a lot, so I don't I don't match my own rules. I don't meet my own rules. I often say things that don't mean anything technically, but still get the message across. Interesting to hear that it was actually someone at Valve or someone who was proofing that decided to change them to he or his instead of they or their. One of the problems with a lot of the grammar Nazi type people is that they are so stuck in certain ideals. I don't know why I'm talking about this in the developer commentary, but I just feel like I'm mentioning it. So stuck in ideals when sometimes those ideals are completely unfounded or not even backed by history, backed by tradition. Some of the rules backed by tradition, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be followed, even though they're traditional. They shouldn't be followed. But yeah, it's interesting to hear that someone actually did it, and that they had to, after the community mentioned it, basically stop that person from doing that. Now this chamber is quite a bit different to the original turret chamber, but it still conveys almost all of the same function. So originally you start with a turret that's facing the opposite direction so you can interact with it, very much like the original. And then you are left with a turret where you can see the laser first, and then the turret itself. And it has an opportunity to shoot you in a way that you can't get to it first. With the idea of getting behind it, so you can lift it up and get rid of it. Oh, and the music in this level... Is it tied to... Looks like it's tied to picking up the turrets, but not directly tied. Interesting. But yeah. So it gives you the opportunity to see the turrets, and then immediately, after you've been able to pull behind it and pick it up, it's now giving you an example of where you can't do that. You probably could bum rush it, if you will, by waiting for it to do that and then run up to it, but far more satisfying to do the proper solution and get rid of it. Oh, actually, something I've been meaning to talk to you, I guess, talk about, is the what do you call, elevator, I guess, at the end of the chambers, start and end of chambers. I'll wait until the end of this one to talk about it, but this just reminded me of it. Editing, Rory, if I forget to mention it, put a little pause and talk about it, because otherwise I won't end up talking about it. Alrighty, and then they give you another example where you can... This is like the first one where you see the glass. You come out and there's like a Ratman den to your left, and you see the glass, and there's a turret, and then there's a turret to the far side. Same deal, basically give you an opportunity to try the new method. The way, by having the glass here, they stop the player from being able to sneak up on it, because it can still see you. Admittedly, you can just do this, and it loses track of you. But the idea is that for most people, it will see them, and then when they get round, as soon as they get out of here, they'll get shot at. And actually, them targeting you, but not shooting at you when behind glass, is, I think they might talk about it. It's something that I wanted to do, if I could, with Portal 1, because I hate the sound of them shooting the glass for ages, endlessly. It's so, like, deafening. I don't hate it, but it's just, it's very... Oh god. Oh god. Ah! Oh man, that brought the music up. Maybe it's... I think it might be tied to them shooting.
I don't blame you.
And being in active mode. I have a feeling that might be where the music's assigned. But yeah, yeah, so that was an example, a great point of showing you that the idea is that you drop a box on the turrets. I think it conveys it pretty well. And then you've got another room, which is very much like the last room of the turret section, where you've got 3 turrets, all at different angles, and they can all be destroyed with different means. So 1 you can portal, 2 you can't. This one, you could probably get close enough to remove it. So what I'll do is I'll put that there, and actually what they also did, which I think is good, is that they didn't actually give you a flat surface close by that you could drop a box on, but a wall, so you could actually physically drop the box like that, with the intention of you being able to see it in action. Just subtle, lots of little subtle things that just aid the game and the player's understanding of the game. I thought she still talked about the cameras when you removed them in this game, but apparently not. Alrighty, let's go. I actually very much enjoy these little excursions outside of the normal testing zone. Damn it, the end of the level didn't have an elevator. I will wait until we get to an elevator, because my point will be so much clearer if I can actually show you an elevator.
To maintain a constant testing cycle, I simulate daylight at all hours and add adrenal vapor to your oxygen supply. So you may be confused about the passage of time.
I love this
The
bit.
point is, yesterday was your birthday. I thought you'd want to know.
I love that little sequence. Because genuinely, what you're looking up at to start with is a chamber, it's a test chamber, and it literally constructs the floor out of those panels that it sticks up. I think that's so clever. And some of the original trailers showed whole chambers being structured, completely restructured during a chamber, And they removed that, I'm assuming, for the same reason they mentioned before, where it was difficult to plan those kind of chambers and know where the player's going to be while in the chambers. And, you know, because collision with those kind of moving stuff in the Source engine is a bit finicky, a bit strange. So I know totally why they changed it, but it would have been really cool if we could have got some chambers like that.
You know how I'm going to live forever, but you're going to be dead in 60 years? Well, I've been working on a belated birthday present for you. Well, more of a belated birthday medical procedure. Well, technically, it's a medical experiment. What's important is it's a present.
Alrighty, here we go. Here's an opportunity. See how there's random crap falling through the chamber before your lift arrives, if you will, your elevator arrives? Well, apparently, I remember hearing, I don't know if the nodes say anything about it, but these tubes, the tubes that you had in Portal 1, and you still have in Portal 2, that deliver you cubes and stuff, they were, you know, they're delivered through this pneumatic system that Portal has, that Aperture Science has all throughout the facility. And in Portal 1, you had those were dedicated for boxes and theoretically turrets, although they're not actually shown until this game, and until Portal 2. And Portal 2 includes a gamut of different, I think gamut's the right word, of different, you know, objects that are sent through these pneumatic vents. Well, apparently they decided to make the elevators part of that same pneumatic system as a small hint at the idea that you're essentially just an object. You're just one of the many objects that they deliver around the test chambers in Aperture's eyes, or in GLaDOS's eyes by extension. And so you're put in the same tube where they vent all sorts of just rubbish. They vent cubes and turrets, and where they vent there was one other thing. Oh, and where they vent the neurotoxin. Neurotoxin gets vented through these same tubes. And actually some gel gets vented through them once you connect the gel from the lower levels of the facility. So, oh dear, you're just you're put into the little capsule, so you're not just like flying blindly through them, but you're essentially just in the same system as the cubes and turrets and test chamber objects.
That jumpsuit you're wearing looks stupid. That's not me talking. It's right here in your file. On other people it looks fine. But right here a scientist has noted that on you it looks stupid. Well, what does a neck-bearded old engineer know about fashion? He probably...
Oh, wait.
Wait, it's a she. Still, what does she know? Oh wait, it says she has a medical degree. In fashion.
From France. Okay, yeah, despite all of the, like, appearance jokes, that's one of my absolute favorites. She has a medical degree in fashion from France.
Uh-oh.
Oh, the absurdity of it all. Okay. This is a nice, clever little... I like this chamber because it's a huge highlight around the idea that the, these... I forget what they're called now. The projected floor. I don't even know what I forget what the hell it's called now. Hard light surfaces, whatever. That they're useful in more than just flooring. They're useful for a lot of other purposes. Is it the higher one or the lower one? I'll go with higher. Ah, I missed it. I thought it might be middle. Alrighty. I don't think there's a Ratman Den in this level, but I do know that there's at least one node that's in one of the Ratman Dens. I love that when you... If they reach a certain speed... If they reach a certain speed, the turrets, they say funny things like, wee! Yeah. that particular piece of glass, they intentionally make it not, them not able to see through it, purely so that you don't get immediately shot as soon as it opens. Although, I will say I'm not a fan of rules that aren't like 100% certain. I hate uncertainty in games, but those are some examples of where it's for sort of enjoyment's sake that they remove certain
I'm going
rules.
through the list of test subjects in cryogenic storage. I managed to find 2 with your last name. A man and a woman. So that's interesting. It's a small world. I have a surprise waiting for you after this next test. Telling you would spoil the surprise. So I'll just give you a hint. It involves meeting 2 people you haven't seen in a long time.
As if you wouldn't guess after what she had said previously. I love the turrets falling over and shit. Oh, I love these animations.
With vacuum tubes such a big part of Portal 2, we designed the new elevators to work within them. We liked the idea that this made the player feel about as important to Aperture as the cargo moving through the tube, and it also gave us plenty of opportunities to show how the system could go wrong, such as when the tubes get blocked or when cargo rains down on the elevator. The videos began as attempts to visualize some of Gladys's dialogue, but they evolved into a means of relaying information about the larger world of Aperture. It seemed very likely to us that Aperture would boast to the test subjects about the devices they were testing, and show them the clever ideas they had put into the products. The videos also served as a reward for completing the test chambers, and a way to make the elevators visually different from one another, to prevent repetition.
Yeah. Isn't that so freaking typical? The second I mention, like, just as I mention it, moments later, we get the full story. So here's probably one where wait, I missed the chance to see what node that was. I have a feeling it might be another node. Oh god. I hope everyone enjoys my reactions to that kind of stuff, because I always react like that. Now, how does this... Right, I remember how this works, yep. Okay, so... Right off the bat, just gonna do this. This is one of the greatest chambers, by the way. This is one of the only chambers where I've managed to recreate the same voice lines that you hear in one of the early trailers of Portal 2, where it was just the turret said like the perfect thing in a row to just make everyone laugh in the room. And then it's the laser, the very first example of the lasers burning the turrets. It burns. This is the only chamber where I've managed to get multiple turrets to say that kind of thing. Like that. That was very close. That was basically everything. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Yeah, okay, so before we continue in the chamber, I am going to do what I intended, what I was thinking about doing right off the bat. And that is as follows. Is there any roof areas that... Nope. Right, there we go. Right, I should probably remove this so that I'm not... It burns. Ow. It's the chubby turret. Provides the real deep sounds. This is a little foreshadowing to the end of the game. Calls into question who actually instigates the who instigates this, basically. I love the idea that they're making the music from the sound that their mechanical parts make. It's like making music from chip tunes, like back in the day, when essentially they just had chips just vibrated, and some very clever programmers initially intentionally made the chips in the computers vibrate to make music, which developed into a sound chip in early computers that had different levels of vibration to create different sounds. And of course they don't exist anymore because they're basically, you don't make sound through the PC itself, you output it into speakers nowadays. Yeah, old 8-bit, when groups talk about 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit sound, those, I don't know if they had a lot of 16-bit sounds, but 4-bit, 8-bit especially, sound comes from those days. I really would have thought there would be a node in here, but no, apparently not. Huh. But yeah, it's another one of Ratman's dens, like computers from like the first game, but like opened up and used for all sorts of other purposes. For some reason I have a feeling that one of them is used as like to cook on. Alrighty, let's get going. Where is it? The receiver's there. Do I need to put it anywhere else? Oh, no. I'm just gonna put it the way that I remember putting it in the chamber. Nice and simple. Yeah. The mystery and unspoken nature of that voice line always gives me chills. Like, don't know if you can see it. Nope, not really. Don't know what it is about that. It's, I guess, the idea that there's something else there, but it's kind of just a very faint...
It says this next test was designed by one of Aperture's Nobel Prize winners. It doesn't say what the prize was for. Well, I know it wasn't for being immune to neurotoxin.
I love that one as well. That's one of my favorites as well, because of the throwback, I guess you could say. It wasn't for being immune to neurotoxin, because he died when GLaDOS took over. He was one of the people who died to her many neurotoxin deaths that she accumulated. Right, so this is another one of the ones that you can get a Ratman den. Oh, they're building up in popularity now, aren't they? Been a lot of Ratman dens all of a sudden. Yeah, I think the hint here, there's a couple of hints. One, open glass there. Two, panels quite out of whack. Oh, you probably could just portal up there, up down. Oh, well. Ah, it's the fated one. This music freaks me out. I'm gonna stay away from that wall. In this particular Ratman den, what you heard there, actually I might just grab a screenshot. So yeah, this is one of the special Ratman dens that, in this particular case, it's the biggest one, and I think it's one of the ones that, it's the only Ratman den as far as I recall that has an achievement attached to it. Despite the fact that the previous like Ratman den has that music, that song in it. Or then maybe that song one has an achievement as well, I don't remember. Yeah, this one has the uniqueness of having that sound, that music, the dynamic music attached to... Actually, it's not dynamic, I don't think that one's dynamic, but has it attached to that wall there. And if you listen to the actual sound, if you listen to the sound file, it's like listening to madness. It's like listening to someone who... It's listening to the insanity inside Ratman's mind. And lots of, like, noises from him going... like, running through the facility. Hiding in fear. This, like, moans of sadness and depression and insanity. It freaks me out. I'm gonna listen to this quickly and not... Oh god. I just remembered that this is not a proper node. That's... Oh! I'm gonna give myself nightmares. I don't think this node has anything of value in it, other than, of course, you know, you decode it, it has a message in it. If I'm clever, I will include the message now. And we're back. That might get cut. That clicking. But yeah, anyway, let's move on before I get chills. Oh, that was an involuntary shudder just there. Genuine kind of horror. Nope, let's get out. Stop! Get out of my head. Yeah, okay, let's figure this out. I remember how this works. I remember exactly how this works. Yoink. Why did I say yoink? Barrel. Barrel. Alrighty. Stop making noise, Rory.
I bet you think
Yeah.
I forgot about your surprise. I didn't. In fact, we're headed to your surprise right now. After all these years, I'm getting choked up just thinking about
It's a pretty lousy surprise. I thought so. I had a feeling it was now. So yeah, that's the end of the end of chapter 3. I'm just following chapter by chapter because I feel like the video length for each chapter is probably about appropriate length, between half an hour and 50 minutes. Like, it's a pretty broad range, but the first episode is like 45 minutes, second one's like 35 minutes, so yeah. I'm gonna keep up with the chapter lengths. I hope that's okay. I hope everyone is enjoying the developer commentary so far. Yeah, as always, if you like what you saw, hit like. If you want to see more, if you want to see the rest of the series, or if you want to see any of my gameplay videos, other than this is kind of a gameplay video still. Nonetheless, if you want to do that, subscribe. That way you can keep up with all my videos and all that. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and as always, am I happy with that bow? I'll give you another one just in case.